amateurs had a whole crop of flying saucers, spots in the sky, lights in the sky, strange things. But the strangest of all was seeing one day over this cottage. Mr. and Mrs. Rustenberg were living there quietly out in the country. Well, what? You just tell me what you saw.
Well, this was one ordinary day. I was waiting for my husband to come home from work, and my two sons went to cycle to school. I was getting changed, and I heard this terrific noise. It was just like a giant cauldron of water being poured onto a fire. A sort of noise, you know. And the first reaction was, oh, the children. I thought maybe a plane was crashing or something like that. And I slipped my jumper on and went outside to find my two sons lying flat on the ground in the garden in front of the house, shouting, "Mummy, Mummy, there's a flying saucer." Well, naturally, I just said, "Come on, don't be stupid. Come on, come on." But felt sort of a strange sensation. Went up my way up the side of the house to where we had a pump where we used to get all our water from, and automatically looked up to see this, all I can describe, this huge Mexican hat. It was stationary, this thing, and it was bright silver in colour, and it had a dome. It was tilted to sort of, I could see the occupants in it. I saw people in it. I saw people in it. There were two people in there. These people were beautiful people. That's the only way I can describe them. They had long golden hair, like a page-board boss, just like the old kings. You used to see photographs of the old kings. And the colour of the hair was golden. Now, I was really impressed because they had a sort of a pearl-neck jumper affair, like a ski top suit, in pale blue. Now, these people weren't sat behind, one behind the other. They were sat together, but this, whatever it was tilted so that I could see them and they could see me.
Were you looking at them through windows, through portholes?
No, not portholes. It was just a sort of like a cockpit, I suppose, that had this perspex or glass or whatever it was. They could see me anyway, and I could see them. And they had beautiful faces. I shall never forget their faces as long as I live. Their foreheads seemed to be a bit larger than, you know, the bottom of their faces as normal people you would expect to see. But maybe this is what it was just whatever they had around their heads, which was like a transparent fishbowl. And they just moved. And I was absolutely paralytic with fear. I couldn't move, although my mind was ticking over. And they looked so sympathetic that I was just mesmerised for what seemed to be, ages, but it could have only been seconds. And I turned to sort of look down at the boys, was unaware that they were with me, because I was so absorbed. And the next thing, I looked up and it was gone.
How low had it been?
It had been the height, I couldn't tell you. But the house that you've seen, it was just on top of the roof. It was hovering on top of the roof.
How big was it compared with the size of the house?
It swallowed the whole circumference of the roof. I couldn't see, the roof was completely blocked out. The chimneys I couldn't see. All I could see was this massive object that I described as like a Mexican hat without the bottom.
And then it flew away sideways or upwards?
No, I didn't see. I just looked up and it had gone. But I assume it went straight up. Because for a short while after in the sky I looked around and I said to my two boys, "Where, can you see anything? Can you see anything?" And they said, "There it is," and they pointed up. And I watched it. It was just like a little cotton mill in the sky. And it circled us 3 times. It went round 3 times. And then it just shut off. And that's it. When I started to analyse myself afterwards, I feared that I might have had an hallucination. But then I knew I hadn't had, because my sons were so sure about what they'd seen and what I'd seen. And I went it went through my mind that it was a secret weapon from Russia, and then I thought, well, it can't be that, because if they had something like that, they wouldn't need to fear anybody or anything.
Were you scared by it? Did you run indoors?
Petrified. I couldn't move. I couldn't move a muscle. I was paralysed with fear. But now I wouldn't be. No. Because now, when I look back, you know, I think, what an amazing thing to have happened, and for me to have seen it.
When your husband came home, where were you?
Well, when my husband came home from the office, I was locked in the house with my children, under a big kitchen table that we were using.
Under the table?
Under the table, yes. It's funny now when I look back, you know, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but this is the truth. This happened. And that's it. We were ridiculed. It was very embarrassing at the time, and people, they possibly thought, oh, she's a nutter. But you know, who cares? This is something that's happened to me, and I'm a practically minded person, and that's it.
For Canada. I served in 3 governments during a total of 23 and a half years as a member of Parliament. Although as Minister of National Defence, I had sighting reports, UFOs. I was too busy to be concerned about them at the time because I was trying to unify the Army, Navy, and Air Force into a single Canadian Defence Force, and that itself was a kind of battle to the finish. So this was not high on my agenda. But about 10 years ago, I started getting interested due to a young man from Ottawa sending me material on a subject. I told him I was too busy to read it, but he had confidence that someday I would. He sent me a copy of Colonel Corso's book, The Day After Roswell. It took me a while to get around to reading it, but I took it for my summer reading in 2005. Is there are huge issues here, huge issues. And the American people and the people of the world have a right to know what's going on. Because they're part of it. It's not just an isolated thing. So after confirming the contents of the book with the retired United States Air Force General, I accepted the invitation of Victor Vigiani, who's over here somewhere, and his cohort Mike Bird, to speak to a symposium at the University of Toronto. And I said, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. That gave me the dubious distinction of being the first person of cabinet rank in the G8 countries to say so unequivocally. First is that about in the 1960s sometime, there's a flotilla of UFOs headed south across into NATO territory in Europe, and the commander-in-chief of the Supreme Allied headquarters in Europe was naturally very shaken. Fortunately, maybe divine providence, before the panic button was pushed, the flotilla turned around and headed back north. Obviously, they had thought maybe they were Russian and they were very concerned about it. Anyway, the investigation was launched into this whole subject, and the document was prepared, which concluded that at least 4 species had